Welcome back to HardBall. Some critics on the right and the left occasionally think the failure of the Obama's Copenhagen trip to get the Olympics embodies a bigger problem. Here's what George F. Will, a man of the right, wrote today in the Washington Post. Quote, perhaps the premise of the otherwise inexplicable trip to Denmark was that there is no difficulty, foreign or domestic, that cannot be melted by the sunshine of the Obama persona. But in the contest between the world and any president's charm, George Will says, bet on the world. And here's what Richard Cohen, a man of the liberal side of things, wrote today, quote, what does he believe and will he ask Americans to die for it? Only he knows the answers to those questions, but based on his zigzagging so far and the suggestion from the Copenhagen trip that the somber seriousness of the presidency has yet to sink in on him, we have reason to wonder. Well, that brings us to the big question. It is a big question in my heart right now. 9 months into his presidency, has Barack Obama made the transition from candidate to president, from talking to achievement and accomplishment? And is there a missing ingredient in the White House staff right now, or in the White House thinking? Dee Myers was press secretary and head honcho for President Bill Clinton and still a close personal friend. And Andy Card was the chief of staff for President George W. Bush. It's great to be. I want to make this completely positive because I think it would be good for this president to get some things he doesn't seem to have right now, which is achievements. Now, that's my view. And I don't think he's had them. So let's go with this couple of thoughts here. I want to run 3 thoughts by you and let you take maybe a few minutes to talk about all 3 of them. My hunch is he hasn't really laid before the American people a clear mission. In the campaign, he had a mission. I'm not George W. Bush. I wouldn't have gone into Iraq. And by the way, we need change in this country. And being an African-American, I can symbolize big change. Right now, I'm not so sure. It seems like he's focused on health care. He doesn't really connect so far with people with their economic problems, which are real. And he's giving good speeches still. Still giving great speeches. Reagan came in, and he had another advantage, Reagan, besides everybody knew where he stood, discernment. The ability to decide not just what I want to do, but what I can do of the things I want to do. That's the second thing. I'm not sure he's made those decisions about health care and Afghanistan. What can I really get done as opposed to what I'd like to get done? And thirdly, does he have the right personnel? So let me ask you all 3 of those questions. You're looking seriously, because this is damn serious, my friend Didi. It is so serious. We have a presidency that's still sort of like a chicken breaking out of the egg right now. He's still coming out of that hatched egg. First question, do you have a clear sense, or do you believe he's presented a clear sense of the things that in his heart he really wants to get done, and for whom as president?
Yeah,
is it clear?
I don't think that that's changed in 2 years.
What is it?
I think he came in, he ran for president and has governed in the first 9 months of his presidency as someone who wants to make big transformational changes. They are very hard. Not only that, against that backdrop, that desire to do big things, was an economy that's the worst recession since the Great Depression and 2 wars. So it's a complicated situation. I think that, but I think it's clear. He believes that unless we reform health care, the economy, 10 years from now or 8 years from now, we'll be right back where we were with the economy in a deep and nasty recession. So he's trying to do that. I think the question is, has he figured out what's possible? We're still working our way through that. And I do think presidents, it takes them more than a few months to make that transition from being a candidate to being president. Nothing prepares you for being president like being president, something that Bill Clinton and I think President both George Bushes have talked about in their private conversations. But I think,
does he have the right people?
I think he has the right people. I think that he needs to have. I don't think there's bad people around him. He's very good people around him. He needs. I think presidents have to make the circle bigger, and I think that's true of them too. The circle is too small, and I don't think they have enough.
To Chicago?
I don't know if it's too Chicago, but it has to get bigger, and that's hard. It was a group that won a campaign by holding it close and controlling it very tightly. That's not possible once you become president. And so the transition from small to bigger is hard.
Yeah, David Plouffe's not there anymore, by the way.
Right.
Strategist, that hurts. Andy Card, you worked in a Republican administration, but the same question applies. Has this president got a clear mission? Has he figured out how to get done what he can get done, and does he have the people to do it?
He may have a clear mission, but he has not described it to the American people. He said he wanted change. Everyone who runs for president wants change.
Especially after your guy.
That goes.
Expect me to resist that.
Every campaign is about change.
Right.
But he didn't give a definition to change. So he allowed the word change to be whatever anybody who heard it believed.
Okay.
Rather than what he believed. Now he has to make the tough decisions as to what change is, and the American people are not reacting that well to it, and he hasn't described it very well. The second thing is, whether he likes it or not, he's a wartime president. Yeah. There's a war going on. He hasn't talked about the need for us to succeed in our war against terror, succeed in Afghanistan, and that is a critical concern right now, as we're recognizing that Afghanistan is really hard, and young men and women are over there really fighting and sacrificing for us. And he's got to describe to the American people why those sacrifices are so important and why that it is the right thing to call America to rally to the cause.
You don't think he seems like a war president, like a commander-in-chief, as you're saying?
Oh, I don't think he sent that message at all to the American people. I don't think he recognizes the burden of being the president during a war.
Okay. Yeah. How about the right people, just to finish off the questioning? Does he have the right people? Does he need more eminence greases like Gergen or people like that?
He's got very competent people, but he doesn't have people who really have an institutional respect for the presidency and the White House, and people who have peripheral vision. He's got a lot of people with outstanding tunnel vision, but he needs some people around him who have good peripheral vision. Antennae. And also someone who says, you're the President of the United States, Mr. President, and the institution of the presidency stands for a lot. Recognize the foundation you're standing on. As you talk about
the reason I think we're into this conversation, and I am a fan of this presidency, I want it to succeed. I'm not a ditto head, though. Couple things. I think in terms of the health issue which you raised, his approach seems to be let 1,000 flowers bloom. Let's see what the Ways and Means Committee comes up with, Rangel's committee. Let's see what Baucus comes up with. Let's see and let's see how it works together. In some magical moment, I'll write in like the cavalry, and I'll settle it. That doesn't seem to be working because you still have Ed Schultz on this network pushing for the public option very hard. You have the Netroots people pushing very hard for it. You've got people like Nancy Pelosi out there pushing. And yet you see in the Senate that's going to be a hard sell. When is he going to say, I'm not a cheerleader, I'm a quarterback? Has he failed in the role of quarterback of saying, this is what's essential to me, this is what I believe we can get done with 60 votes, and by the way, we're going for 60, no more games on the 50. We're going, at least tell us what the strategy is, and then do it. Has he discerned what he can do as president and laid it out? Has he done that?
As you know, with somebody with experience on the Hill, it is a dynamic process. I think that in some ways they did overlearn the lessons of the Clinton health care.
Explain.
Which is that they, that rather than going up there and presenting the bill like the tablets from...
The way Rostakowski asked you guys to do.
Well, that's President Clinton's,
you were asked to do it.
Yes.
In fairness to Clinton.
And in fairness to him, and that became a huge, big, fat target. It was a big bullseye. Everyone had something to shoot at. Everyone had something not to like.
But there's this elusiveness on his part, which you're explaining. Right. Has that turned out to go too far? It's already, it's
probably,
October.
it's easy to sit here Monday morning quarterback and second guess the process,
by the way, it's
but
not
this is our
Monday morning
job,
yet.
right?
Monday morning is Christmas. It's
Monday morning after each piece of the process.
Is he late in deciding what he needs to get done?
I think he could have weighed in a little more heavily a little earlier. But you know what? I think that we still have to see where this comes out. He's going to get a health care bill. He's going to get, and it probably won't have a public option. He will get a health care bill because the Democrats know that if they do not successfully pass something, if they're not capable of governing, they're going to lose a lot more seats than if they pass health care.
I used to think that. You might be right. Bill Clinton believes that. I hope you're right in a sense. But here's the question to you, because you worked for the Republican administration, which was very successful in the beginning and get it when it wanted. You guys got that tax cut. I didn't like it, but you got it. You got the war the way you wanted it. You were tough ass, and you got this stuff done. Does the president have to strike early? Does he have to use his political capital like Reagan did, like you guys did? Move quick, win quick. LBJ did it.
Yes, but you can't ignore what's happening in the real world. When George W. Bush became president, we were in the midst of a recession that people didn't really understand was there until he took office. So he had to deal with that reality, and he did.
You're saying that Barack Obama hasn't caught up with the new change, which are the bad unemployment numbers that are breaking people's hearts right now?
I think that he is still seeing the world as he wants it to be rather than the world as it is, and he's not leading us through the world that we have. I can understand having a goal, but I actually think he should be focusing more on the significant foundational needs that we have as a country rather than all of the wants that people are pushing.
My question to you and both of you is that there's a great political question you ask, like, are we going in the right direction? You and I know everything. We all know the same stuff, by the way. The knowledge is shared. Are we going in the right direction? These people know what they're doing. A question I like even better is, does this candidate, this politician, this president care about people like me? Does he care about people like me? I think the president, when he was a candidate, was like most people. They didn't like the war in Iraq. They thought it was a bad decision. They wanted change. They wanted an African-American guy. They wanted to show that we were a bigger country. They wanted all those good things. Shared page, same page. Now I think most people are primarily worried about that unemployment rate. Whether it's a lagging indicator or a leading indicator, they're scared to hell they're going to be on that list. And he's, on the other hand, focusing on health care. I think they're on different pages.
He has two responsibilities. One, to address the concerns of the American people, and they are concerned about the economy. And there are still big questions, and there are still dark clouds on the horizon with regard to the economy.